Hi, everybody. This is Andrea Paquette, president and co-founder of the Stigma-Free Mental Health Society. I am super excited to be here today on our Stigma-Free Voices podcast because I have a very special guest, Shawn Lesser from The Real, founder of the Real Mental Health Foundation. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, very, very honored to have you here. I
I'm
see you
honored to be
so
here.
much. Yeah, it's so great. See you on LinkedIn all the time and all the amazing things you are up to. So I'm going to go through some questions. But first, I thought it'd be a really good idea to share your bio and I'll read that off and then people can get to know you a little bit. Does that
I
sound
mean,
okay?
that's fine. I don't know if it's correct, but let's see what happens.
Well, we pulled it from the internet and I believe
That's
from
who knows.
LinkedIn.
Who
So
knows? So who knows? We'll see
I'm
what
sure
happens.
it's great. You
Yeah.
could always correct me, right?
No, don't worry about it.
Okay. So, Shawn is the founder of the Real Mental Health Foundation, an initiative dedicated to addressing mental health challenges globally by fostering conversation, community, and innovation. With over 30 years of experience in finance, Shawn was a pioneer in impact investing, co-founding the first impact investing bank. During his career, he worked on over 50 direct deals and served as a placement agent for countless impact funds, helping to grow what is now a $1.5 trillion industry. His efforts connected institutional investors, family offices, and philanthropists to projects that generated both financial returns and measurable social impact. It's amazing. Under Shawn's leadership, The Real has grown into a platform focused on fostering collaboration and innovation in the mental health space. So, through events, community driven projects, and thought leadership, Shawn has sparked conversations in cities across the US and Europe, and so many more. So, uniting business leaders, investors, and change makers to tackle mental health challenges and create a meaningful, very lasting impact. So, does that sound okay with you?
You're hired. I mean, that was really good. I'm not going to live up to all that, but it sounded awesome.
Oh.
Sounds awesome. Thanks.
Amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
sure I got it all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's jump into it. I'm so excited. Can you tell me about the driving force behind the Real Mental Health Foundation? Like, in other words, share about the personal or professional experiences that motivated you to launch this initiative?
Sure, I'm happy to. And you kind of went through my background, but then there's the mental health story, and I'm happy to give you a short
Yes.
version of that because that's started this thing going. So, September 22, depressed, have trouble eating, have trouble sleeping. I lost 40 pounds, which is wonderful, but I was not on a diet. And then it was
Mm.
December 19th. I was on a Zoom call like this, but more investor call. Had like a full mental breakdown. It wasn't that second, but it was growing. Couldn't really speak, suicidal, tell my wife, I don't want to be here anymore. Please freaking kill me. So, most wives
Yeah.
don't want to hear that. Some might, I don't know, but not my wife. So that's a good keeper, right? So we don't know what to do. So we go to the emergency ward. I live in Atlanta. So we went to the hospital. Then they rolled somebody out, basically telemedicine. They asked you all these questions. Then they say, do you want to get checked into the psych ward? I have no idea what that means, but I want to go somewhere. So I ended up in the psych ward for 2 days. That's a whole other conversation. And then I got out, went home, wanted to go back to work at the company I co-founded. I had two partners. Sometimes things don't work out with partners. My partners bought me out of my firm. Terrific. I got some money. Probably didn't have to work for a year. But my company was my whole identity. It was my whole life. It was my whole existence. So then I felt deeper in depression, and then another person comes into the story who's friendly with myself and my wife. His name's Brent. My wife reached out to him, basically said, Shawn's in a bad place. He came back right away, asked all the right questions. Is he in a safe place? This has happened to a lot of people, especially guys. He had gone through
Mm.
something similar like 10 years ago. So he became
Yeah.
what I call a mental health sponsor. If you think of like Alcoholics Anonymous, you have like a sponsor, basically a buddy, right?
Yeah.
So walking, talking, hanging out. And then I went away to two treatment centers, one in Florida, one in California, for about
Mm.
70 days. Take away your phone, you're in therapy all day. And then how the name came about and the real is then I was a little bit over 2 years ago, and me and Brent, we were talking on the phone. We're like, dude, that was serious. That was real. I said, yeah, man, that was real. I said, that's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it the real. And then, of course, he asked me, well, what is it? And of course, I said, I have no idea. But I know there's a lot of men, women, and families suffering, and I think we could, maybe help them some. So that's a little bit of the origin story.
Yeah. Wow. I so identify with your
Mm.
story. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in 2005. Also admitted to a psych ward
Hmm.
twice. I
Hmm.
completely understand the challenges of all of that. And good for
Sure,
you for getting help
sure,
and reaching
sure.
out. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was
I would say
amazing.
something else, Andrea. I don't think
Yeah.
like your story, my story, right? We're talking about it, but it's not that unusual. I was at a
No.
10 at one time, that's bad, but every human, their breathing is at a 2 or 4 or 6 or an 8 at some time. So this is human condition. Might be skewed a little, more towards the 10, but everyone, this is what happens in life.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the times too, I have found if, say, we don't have mental illness or struggle with immense mental health challenges, then often it's someone we love or care about that
Oh,
does.
100%, 100%.
Yeah. So really, we're all affected in some way.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a growing discussion around the male loneliness epidemic in recent years.
Mhm.
And I was wondering, how do you think this has impacted men's mental health on a broader scale?
Know what we're doing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Well, this is just a drop in the bucket. This is kind of a startup, 2 years old. So, I mean, hopefully we've helped some guys, but I don't know
Mhm.
how. I mean, there's 8 billion people, so maybe
Yeah.
four are men, four are women. I don't know. So, hopefully we've helped some. But I think it's also, men and women are just different. Men meet shoulder to shoulder, women meet face to face. It's just we're going to talk about stuff differently, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
most men are kind of they're loners, and I'm stereotyping, but they feel like this pressure, like they got to kill the bear and bring it home, kind of thing. So it's just, I think you have to communicate differently to men. So the real, I also say, it's not like this is a guy's thing. There are so many women that are super supportive
Yeah.
of the real. And what do women want? They want healthy husbands and sons and uncles and grandfathers and all that stuff. But I would say, one way, and the real is powered by women. But we had one of the women advisors, and she says to me, Shawn, the real is about a place where men can talk about their feelings. And when she said that, I wanted to throw up because guys don't talk that way, right? Guys talk like, hey, went through some challenges, had some difficulties. I'm not saying it's any different, but it's just a different
Mm.
way to look at things. And we're going to associate with different things.
Yeah. With men, what are some of the main barriers preventing them from talking about it then?
We're on the show about the stigma. So a lot of it is the stigma. I don't want to look weak. Who am I? What am I? This is what you're brought up with. This is not anything unusual, but people
Mhm.
have this is as going on as long as time. People have these different things, right? I've
Yeah.
hurt every muscle in my body at one time, and then if I hurt my brain, I got to go hide in the corner. Nah, I don't think so. But there's yeah, of course, there's stigma. Is he weak? What is he doing? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, 100%. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of times, especially men and people like in general, women too, I'm
Mhm.
sure, but especially men, like, I can handle this. I got to suck this up. I can get through this. I don't need anyone. And I've seen that time and time again, but we really all need to reach out for help when we need it. And it's not a weak thing, it is a strong thing.
And I would say it's not like when I'm in this extreme, difficulty. Because going back to it again, people are at 2 or 4 or 6 or 8, and that's
Hmm.
also what the foundation is about. We didn't talk about that so much. It's like it's just a place where if you want to talk about mental health, that's cool. If you want to talk about nothing, that's cool. But the fact is, people go through stuff, and that's okay. So you don't have to have like this big woo conversation, but just like,
Yeah.
hey man, yeah, okay. And I think lots of times if you just you always think you're the only one, right? If you hear from other people, like, oh, that guy, oh, really? Oh, then I could talk about this. No big deal. But you don't have to
Yeah.
be like me either, putting it on LinkedIn and posting it in 4 billion places. That doesn't matter.
Yeah. So you were talking about how when you were going through recovery that you had a great talk and a walk with your sponsor.
Mhm.
And so this has become like the Real's flagship programs, right? Like the Real Talks and Walks. Can you tell me about that?
Sure, I'll give you a little snapshot and we have some different sides. We have a for-profit, nonprofit side. So on the foundation, and if you go to the real.care, you can see it. So the foundation is based on the power of conversation and community. That really helped me a lot. mental health obviously is very complicated, but those pieces help me. So it's based on 3 C's. It goes conversations, goes to community, goes to change. So the first C, conversation. So the talk that I gave you and kind of the talk you gave me, and as I call it, the real talk. And I've done that lots of times. And now we're trying to get other people to do it. Think of it like a TED talk where it has a certain look, it has a certain feel. And then you have a library of these talks. Because one of our goals is to help 10 million and one men with their mental health by 2030. And think of a music video that's been watched 1 billion times. So that's one side of the conversation. And the second side, and this goes to the walks, is the community. So Brent and so many other people just came out of the woodwork and really helped me. So we're working on an app. It's a safe place where guys can talk about this stuff, not be like they're judged. Find a mental health sponsor, be a mental health sponsor. And then we have these ambassadors, and you can see them on the website. We have over 350 ambassadors in over 30 countries and 6 continents. So what do these guys do? Right? So, and all kinds of guys, right?
I've seen
shapes and colors. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what the border is, the map says, what you believe. The funny thing is, I think mental health actually brings people together. So the ambassadors do a couple of things. So one, every 3rd Wednesday of the month, we do this thing called the real speed friending. It's not complicated. So last Wednesday, we had about 80 guys on a call, broke up into rooms, 2 or 3 folks for like 8 minutes. We just have a chat, right? You don't, it's not like this is therapy and I have to talk about my mental health. No, you talk about whatever you want. You're just kind of meeting new folks, building community. And then the other thing that we do is, the real walks. So the real walks, that happens every 3rd Saturday of the month. So this last Saturday, about 300 or so walks went on. Why do we do walks? Because obviously it's good exercise, but there's a lot of isolation, there's a lot of loneliness, and I also think there's a lot of division. So I go for a walk with a guy named Bob. Bob and I disagree on every single topic under the sun. We fight during the walk, but afterwards Bob, all right, buddy, I love you. I'll see you next week, buddy. See you, pal. So it doesn't matter. And then the walks, we call it a walk, but then people interpret it differently. You know, some people, I'm playing pickleball, I'm doing yoga, I'm walking with my wife, I'm walking with my ex-wife, I'm walking with 10 people, I'm sitting in a room. It doesn't really matter. It's just more kind of being part of something. And I think people just want to be part of something and feel like a place where they don't have to put up a face. They can just be themselves, and everyone's like, that's cool.
Yeah. And feeling connected to other people in the community and those we care about. I think really that's what I'm getting from this. It's like, it's not necessarily everyone has to walk, but just being connected.
Well, the other thing is it's also an incredible networking group. So many guys are talking, building relationships, doing business. So it's a lot of guys are like, I was into this for mental health, but this really helped my business a lot. Like, okay, wonderful.
Yeah. There you go. Multi-pronged. That's amazing. Sure. And so in 2023, you also launched the Real Hat campaign. So I was wondering if you can tell me about the purpose behind this campaign, what it symbolizes. I'd love to hear about that.
Sure. So on the hats, and obviously I'm wearing a hat that's just, I have to fill the brand. I think that the Real is also basically like a lifestyle brand, right? If you think of Movember when they grow the mustaches, or think of, used to have these t-shirts, life is good, or even think of Nike, just do it, right? And now people are wearing these hats, 350 guys all over the planet, men, women, it doesn't matter, dogs, they put it on their dogs. It's more like a symbol, right? So the idea is that in the future, I think you're in Canada, I'm in Atlanta, be walking down the street and I'll see a man, woman, child, whatever it is, wearing the hat. They see me, I see them. Just know mental health affects people. You don't even have to say anything. So, and people dig the logo. So that's just part of it. And it's just, again, being part of something, and just how do you make the invisible visible, right? Yeah. That's a big part of the brand, but it's still, it's minuscule, but it feels like it's growing.
Oh, it's amazing. I really love that, feeling that safety, right? And identifying with people is something we all love to do.
Sure.
All right. So I hear a lot about the Real Summit in New York upcoming. So let's talk about the intersection between finance and mental health. What do they have in common? Why is it important to explore them together like this?
Sure. And let me give you a little background on how that happened too.
Yeah.
So I come out of impact investing, make money, do good. You're talking about in the beginning, and I saw how that space kind of grew, got huge. And I had a non-compete with my old firm, then that burnt off, but I know how to put on events. I put on about 60 events over the years. So a lot of people coming to me, hey, you got to do a mental health event. So we did the first real summit, the intersection of finance and mental health. We did that last October 18th and 19th, hosted by Deutsche Bank in New York City. And that event was half your typical investment event, companies, funds, family offices, etc. Then half of it was also workshops. How do you work on your own mental health? How do you better, with your teams, founders? And then we also interjected what we did at the foundation. So we did a walk in Central Park. Some guys did talks. So we did that in New York last year, and then we did that in Davos, Switzerland. Then we did that in London, and now we're going back to New York to do it again. And every year we'll do that kind of series. And I should say, this is not pure men's health. This is just mental health versus men's health. I mean, men's health is in that, but that's the event is wider, right? And why? Because if you look at what are the biggest issues on the planet, I mean, I will say climate change, but not everyone will, but that's okay. But climate change and mental health, and how much money is going to mental health. And look at it from a different standpoint, is how much it's a little bit like sustainability. When you use less products, you're going to make more money. It's the same thing. If you look at the figures of how many work days are missed, or look at me, right? Like I missed a lot of work days or other things. So this is a huge issue for business productivity, besides having a workforce that feels good. So it's not only about, the social side, but it's also about the economic side too.
Yeah, 100%. And so I was thinking too, save people, is there still tickets available? How does it
They
work?
know you, there's tickets if they know you. So just go to the real.events. We still have tickets. Yeah.
Yeah. And so where are all the places people can find out about the Real, about you and everything else?
Sure. The easiest is, LinkedIn. Just search my name, or we have two websites. One's on the foundation, is the real.care. And then around the events is the real.events, and they connect with each other. So happy to chat with people, help people. I talk to a lot of people. Just someone will say, hey, my friend's not doing good. And I said, okay, I'm happy to talk. Not just men. I mean, not just men, women too, right? Because it's similar, right? It's not like, oh, this is just for guys. So.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you're a real leader in this space with men's mental health, and I know you're very humble, but I would love if you could share a message with our viewers. Say if a man particularly who isn't reaching out for help, do you have a message for him?
Yeah, if you're feeling, you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to take a shower, and maybe you're thinking like, I don't even want to be alive. And then you're thinking, I'm all alone. And you're also thinking that this is never going to change. I can tell them with 100% certainty, I do not know when it will change, but I will guarantee you 100% it will change. So that helps a ton, because that's why people kind of die, because they just think this is it. And then your mind just gets foggy and you can't see any light. So that's to have people just see that, okay, there's a glimmer here, and okay, this dude's telling me he went through something similar. And that's also what the Real is about, because it's not only about suicide, but just seeing how other people go through stuff, and this is normal. So, and don't feel strange. That was too many things for you. You only said one, but those were some things.
No, that is amazing. Thank you so very much. Please stay on the line afterwards, because I'd like to chat with you and say goodbye. Really appreciate meeting you. And I thank you tremendously for coming on Stigma-Free Voices. And for everybody who's watching, please do hit share. We would love to get the message out there even more about the Real, and Stigma-Free Mental Health is very excited to keep promoting all of the work that you're doing. So thank you so much, Shawn.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, bye everybody. Have a lovely day.